Hello and welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week edition of the program, we'll be discussing about the rise in unemployment in Nigeria. We also have other news stories for you. We will be right back. The Joint Research and Allied Institutions sector, which consists of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, and the Academic Staff Union of Research Institutions, held a rally in Lagos to press home their demand.
We are fighting for 65. It has not been feasible. Government should please, even see education. They gave education 65. What did we do? They owe us many things. Our rules. They give us rules that is not relevant with us. And we are now begging the government to give us NARICOM.
During the process, I met with Kuki Ibifubara. He is worried that after 10 years of negotiations, many demands of research institutions are yet to be met. He explains the implications of having research institutions shut down for more than 3 weeks.
But what we're saying is, government come to our aid. If you look at what we are agitating for, it's nothing too much to get. But if a responsible union has been on this dialogue for more than 10 years, listen to our agitations and sort out these issues with the research sector. That's all we're saying.
Research education ends where research terminates. So we are appealing to the government to meet our demands and also functionally sponsor or fund the research institutes so that we can be at par with other developed and developing countries in terms of technological development in the world.
Now to do all this type of things. Also, you have to realize now that no country can develop without adequate funding of research institutes, because that is where new innovations come from. And if you don't fund them very well now, there's no way they can perform, and the country will not develop.
Some of the workers' demands are payment of 12 months Conrad's arrears of 55.37% salary increase, withdrawal of circular on non-skipping of salary of staff on grade level 10, raising of retirement age for non-research staff to 65 years, payment of allowance and end allowance, establishment of a central body to be known as National Research Institutes Commission, adequate funding of research institutes, as well as release of scheme and condition of service. For Kuki Ibifubara and others, the strike will continue until government yields to their demands. The Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria and Barge Operators Association of Nigeria Steering Committee reaffirmed commitment to enforce a standard operating procedure to ensure the sustainability of cargo movement through water transportation. The Steering Committee, in a joint press briefing in Lagos, noted that in view of barging activities as a mode of cargo transportation, standard operating procedures should be adhered to by operators.
The Barge Steering Committee, having completed this aspect of its job, is privileged today to present to you and the public the completed booklet containing the standard operating procedure SOP for barge operation in Nigeria. This SOP will serve as a guide to any and every person or organization involved in barging operation within the Nigerian territorial waters.
During the event, it was emphasized that barging activities will aid the congestion of the ports.
Thank God that we have the alliance now. With the alliance of Mahun and the Bowen together, you should be rest assured that everything will really take place. We have the enforcement unit that is going to drive these activities with us.
We've been moving tons of cargoes. We've been moving bulk, we've been doing Ro-Ro, we've been doing container, and we've been doing a lot of movement via barges. And we have decongested the port by taking away more than 300 to 500 cargoes annually. So I think telling us that budgets are not of substandard, that doesn't run.
The standard operating procedure is aimed to cover issues of safety, maintenance, training, documentation, and certification, channeling medical communications, levies and dues, welfare, guides to conduct, fueling berthing speed, insurance, and badging management system app. On the profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the Minister for State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo. He gave us insight on the issues regarding unemployment in Nigeria and Africa, what the federal government is doing to ensure that more jobs are being created, and the challenges that is faced with in the ministry. He also spoke about the agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari in ensuring that casualization and outsourcing of workers in the corporate organization is being eradicated. Take a listen. Thank you for joining me on the program.
Thank you for having me.
A lot has been happening in the world of work, most especially the issue of unemployment in the country. It seems to be at its very peak at the moment. I must say, as a youth, it's not been easy trying to earn a living, looking at the current situation that we find ourselves in the country. Can you bring us up to speed? What can you tell us has been the position of President Muhammadu Buhari in terms of ensuring that we have more jobs created for Nigerians?
Well, thank you very much. It is true that the situation regarding unemployment is not salutary at all. Before COVID, we had in the region of about 23% of the unemployment rate. And after COVID-19, it's compounded the issues again. And now we are doing something close to about 33% of the unemployment rate. That, by all standards, is not good enough. It is not only Nigeria this has affected, it's a worldwide phenomenon. And many countries are battling with the post-COVID economic situation. Many people have lost their jobs. Many jobs are even cutting down, in the sense that many workers across the world were given lower pay. They were offered lower pay, in many situations, to even continue with their jobs. The most important thing for us as a country is how we respond to the situation. It's not to continue to bemoan the situation, but how we respond to the situation by either the private sector, or mostly people look up to government institutions and agencies to provide employment. And so people always look out for the letter that says, congratulations, you have been employed by so and so organization, you're on probation for 6 months, and after 6 months, you'll be confirmed. However, for us to create jobs and lift people out of poverty, we have to skill up the population.
So
that's the only way to go.
Can you bring us up to speed on how many jobs the federal government has been able to provide in the last couple of years or two?
We are still collating data from different sectors, because you see, that is where that's the point I was even coming to. People are looking out for the statistics in respect of the number of letters of employment that have been given out. No, we are looking at the different multiplier effects that our policies have made, the kind of jobs that have been created in terms of primary, secondary jobs. Like I said just now, I talked about skilling up the population. In the last 5-6 years, we have skilled up so many persons across various sectors of the economy: plumbers, electricians, hairdressers, and all that. You will see many of these line items in many of our budgets in the MDAs, the National Director of Employment, SMEDAN, the Labor Ministry, and on, like that. So we have so many training centers across the country. We have so many line items in the budget that seek
to train these individuals and then give them starter packs. That has been the area government has concentrated on. And so we have been doing a lot of skill acquisition training. We have been doing a lot of empowerment in terms of starter packs. Of course, we don't have enough to go around all those we have trained. So because of paucity of funds, we have not, of course, given to all of them, all the individuals we have trained. Most of these policies
now that the government has been able to achieve more jobs in the informal sector rather than the formal sector that is the most populous amongst us. Is that correct?
Exactly. We have created a lot of jobs in the informal sector, and that is why at times I will not speak from the top of my head. We are still collecting data. We have even put, a machinery in place to see that we can collect the data properly and let Nigerians know exactly just how many of these people in the informal sectors have been created. But let me tell you, very clearly that we are still not there at all. We are still far away from our targets. I want to be very clear about this. So I'm not here to just exaggerate and go away. Anybody that graduates from a place in order to go and set up on his own is a graduating institution. So we have so many of these graduate institutions bringing out so many people every day to the job market. It's quite a large number that they're pointing to the job market every year. And the point is that the rate at which we are trying to create jobs, it's not that we're not creating jobs. The rate at which we are creating the jobs is not commensurate with the type of population we are bringing out every year from different institutions. And that, I think, is the challenge we have to face, and we are going to get down to brass task.
Very quickly, recently, the federal government, by the order of the Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, His Excellency, made provision for the 774,000 jobs to be created across the local governments across the country. Most recently, it was in the news that 7.3 billion naira was being owed this set of workers. How true is this information?
Well, technically, if you use the word owed, I don't know whether I should buy that word, but the total budget for the stipends was 46.6 billion naira to be paid to 774,000 Nigerians, 60,000 each. And so if we have paid out of 46.6 billion, we have paid so much, and it's now a balance. We now have a balance of 7.4 billion or thereabouts. That means we have paid close to about 39 billion. We have paid 39 billion out of the amount, and that's quite a lot. So we have done close to 80-something%, getting close to 90% of the payments. And the payments are ongoing. It's not that we are owing them because the money is not available or we are sourcing for the money. No. In fact, when you say, that's why I say I won't take the word owe, because in most cases, most of these accounts have been credited, but they have not been able to access the monies because many of them have their issues with their BVN. Many of them have issues with the spellings of their names. Not of the names that they submitted to us, that we submitted to the banks, most of them do not match. The names they submitted to us and their names in the banks, most of the names do not match. So the names at times will forward to the accountant general to pay because we don't see the money. Just want to let Nigerians, so that's a small diversion. We don't see the money at all. The money is in the CBN, in the NDS, in the account of the National Director of Employment in the CBN. All we did is to generate the data, get sent to the CBN, and the accountant general will order the CBN to pay. So the money, we don't even see the money at all. So what's going on?
Do you think this program is? Because many people actually believe that it's just one of those job schemes to create jobs for the boys.
Well, let me tell you first of all that the program is in the form of a palliative. So principally, it is a program to bring succor to Nigerians in the post-COVID-19 era. I'll give you this example. If you allow me, I'll go for 10 seconds. If you know, in fact, many Nigerians abroad, they were even abusing us at that time that what were we doing to ameliorate the sufferings of people? People in Europe and America, they were taking cash to the doorsteps of citizens. They were taking groceries. Now, we are talking about here in Nigeria, we are giving Succour of 60,000. Now, even assuming we are not even are going to concede, but assuming without conceding that they're not even doing as much jobs as people want them to do, this is principally a program to bring Succour to Nigerians. So we have seen a situation where 1,000 Nigerians have been receiving 6,000, 60,000, 1,000 Naira per local government. That's quite a lot, 1,000 per local government. So people who have been abusing, in fact, I said this on a lighter note on another occasion. I said people have been abusing governments, abusing big men since 1960. That's only big men that are eating government money. So I now joked with somebody, I said, let the poor man eat government money small now. How about? Let these poor people eat the money small. So, but that's on a lighter note. But so 60,000 Naira to ordinary Nigerians, poor Nigerians, I don't think it's too much. And the jobs they are doing is not a regular job of 8 to 4. So you don't have to see them everywhere sweating and going to work in the morning and coming in the evening. We make sure they did light work. We have a catalog of all the jobs they did, local government by local government.
You know that Nigerians actually believe that these workers are actually ghost workers because they've not actually seen them or meet with them. Personally, I know that there was a time that I went through to the local government to actually do my own due diligence. Though I couldn't find any, but I learned that probably they went out on an environmental duty and all. But can you tell us for a fact, with your records and with your own experience, are these workers, do they truly exist and they are not ghost workers? Because some people actually believe that they are ghost workers.
I'm sure you know my background. Coming into government as a minister, I know where I'm coming from and the kind of transparency you expect from me as an individual. As I speak with you, we have with us the complete names of everybody paid and their BVN. Let me even show Nigerians, they are here. Complete names of everybody paid across the country, name by name, BVN by BVN. So there's no ghosts. And anybody that cares, this is something I'm submitting to everybody within government to know. This flash here you see contains the flash. This flash you see contains the name of every single person that has been paid, their names, their account numbers, and the BVN and the banks involved. That is what you are seeing on my table here. So don't even go there. I'm not even a careless person at all. This is the hard copy of only 3 states. So you can imagine if we print all the 36 states. These only 3 states and see how bulky it is. Look at it. Federal government, National Director of Employment, comprehensive reports on the extended special public works, comprehensive reports. All the names are here of everybody that has been paid. You can see that this is only Gombe states. I'll just give you, look at Gombe. Look at Gombe. Look at, you seeing? Look at names. Account number.
You can see that you have detailed information, but obviously.
But you find trouble now. Now you find trouble. Hold on. Now you find trouble.
This information.
As you find trouble now, so tell you, I'm armed and ready. I am armed and ready for any Nigerian.
But very quickly, there are also observations by some stakeholders, whereby they presume that perhaps this money that was invested in people through the 774,000 jobs that was being created in a period of time, people believe that maybe this money should have been directed to the NPE, that perhaps maybe this youth will have been able to pick 1 or 2 skills and be able to create wealth.
There are people who invest cash in businesses. You mean people don't need cash to invest in their small businesses? 60,000 is a lot for rural people to invest and boost their businesses. The money did not fly to America. We didn't pay dollars, we paid Naira. That money is circulating. The 46.6 billion is now circulating in the grassroots. That money did not fly away. So whether you like it or not, in the last few weeks or months, 46.6 billion have been pumped into the grass, not the top echelon, not the middle class, to the grassroots. People can now buy a new Okada, repair their old Okada. They can buy grinding machines. They can boost their hairdressing business. They can buy more tomatoes. They can buy more goods in their shop in the markets. So many of these things are going on now. It doesn't mean that there are other programs, we have abandoned other programs. There are other programs of empowerment going on in terms of skill acquisition. Those things are going on. But as a government, you cannot be one, you cannot have a one-track mind. The same people that are saying that if you carry this money and put in some kind of program or some kind of training program where they will not realize the money immediately, they have to wait for 2 years before the money comes, or 3 years. The same people will start shouting, you want to kill Nigerians before they see money to eat? Do you want to kill them first? So you cannot undermine the importance of getting monies to the hands of people immediately, people who are hungry and angry. You don't know the kind of social revolution that this thing has quelled across the country. Haba, when we poor man eat something now from government, let them eat this one. Let them eat this one. Leave poor man alone.
Human wants are actually very insatiable. Of course, you would agree, but of course, it's not been yes. I know it's not really been easy with the unemployment situation. We actually have a lot of employers that are actually taking advantage of this situation, prioritizing profit over people. There's this increase in casualization and outsourcing of workers year and year.
Hold your thoughts there. I'm the chairman of that committee on casualization. I'm the chairman, and we want to amend the laws now. We want to address the banking industry, the oil industry, and some other industries that are used to this casualization of workers. This contract staff all over the place. In fact, we started the conference in Lagos last year with all stakeholders, the NLC, TUC, and some other stakeholders, the oil industry, banking sector. They sent representatives. It was the COVID that stopped it, and we're about to resume now. I just spoke with my director of labor of trade union services an hour before this interview, and we are meeting in Lagos in the next few weeks with all stakeholders, and I'm the chairman of that subcommittee to address it. So I'm happy you're talking about that. I want to let you know that we are addressing it. I will not live here as an activist who came into government as a senior advocate of Nigeria without addressing that issue. I will not. I want to address it before I leave government.
I don't know if you'd like to give us a timeline of how soon Nigerian workers should expect these issues to be addressed in terms of law.
Once we do our bit, then we move it over to the National Assembly. I speak with you, the National Assembly, commendably, we have to commend them. They are reviewing all labor laws. We too, on our part, we are making our own review of all the labor laws. And when we are reviewing labor laws, casualization will come to the front burner. So the National Assembly is actually doing a good job on it now. And so they will soon invite everybody for public hearing. At that point, we will now say, well, it is at the doorsteps of the National Assembly.
Different unions have come up with some strike action at one point or the other. And there are some more unions that are raising up for more strikes. What is the government trying to do to ensure that we have industrial harmony in the sector?
Well, as conciliators, the Ministry of Labor, we are basically conciliators. We are not the principals involved in any of these industrial actions. So when people at times, they see everybody going on strike, they will be shouting, Labor Ministry, what are you doing? Labor Ministry, no, let me educate Nigerians. We are not the ones involved though in all these strikes. We are not the one. We are the ones that are coming in to reconcile as conciliators. So when you hear doctors are going on strike, people say, what is Keyamo they are doing? No, it is the Minister of Health that is having problem with doctors. We are now bringing the two of them to conciliate. When you hear that teachers are going on strike, ASU is the Minister of Education and lecturers that are having problems. Ministry of Labor have no problem with anybody. We will be the ones to call the two of them to reconcile, and so on and so forth. So within the limits of resources, we have been trying to make our negotiations as realistic as possible, as honest as possible. We are not part of previous governments who will just sign any kind of agreement for people to go back to work, only for them to find it difficult to fulfill those agreements. Most of these agreements we inherited were from past governments who made bogus promises just to pepper over the issues, and then the issues were inherited by us. I know government is a continuum, but most of these agreements signed were unrealistic. And they were signed at times where the country was very buoyant, when oil prices were up, and the government then could not pay.
So is it true that Nigeria is broke? Because for every time any of these unions come out, the issue is always money, 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 money. And they always complain that government is not living up to its own side of the bargain. So is it that the country is broke?
To answer yes or no, particularly, so I don't use it as headline, go and ask Minister of Finance whether we are broke or not. I said paucity of funds. The demands are many, the pause is few. The demands are many. That's what I would prefer to say. But to use that magic word broke, you will call Zainab Ahmed when I leave this interview and ask her to tell you that.
Thank you very much for your time. And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.